Have you ever wondered why, out of millions of faces, one soul feels like destiny? Why a single meeting can stir the heart in ways logic cannot explain, as if the universe itself conspired for that moment? The pull of destiny is something that cannot be explained in the language of reason alone. It is not a simple sequence of choices or accidents that align neatly into a story of love. Rather, it is as if an invisible thread is woven long before two souls are even aware of each other, guiding their steps toward a point of meeting that feels inevitable once it happens. When two souls are meant to be, their paths may twist, turn, or even diverge for a time, but the magnetic field between them does not dissolve. It waits, quietly shaping events until they are ready to meet at the appointed hour. Think of the countless encounters in life, the fleeting faces in a crowd, the voices that pass without recognition, the hands that brush against ours and are forgotten. Then, amid this endless stream, one soul arrives and nothing feels accidental. Their presence stirs something ancient, as though we had been walking toward this very moment all along. It is not coincidence, it is convergence. The circumstances that seem random, the missed trains, the sudden decisions, the unexpected turns, are often the very currents that carry us into the presence of the one who was meant to appear. This pull of destiny does not operate in the logic of convenience or preference. Sometimes it even draws two people together across great distances, different worlds, or after seasons of hardship. And yet, when the encounter happens, there is a silent recognition, a sense that this is not a stranger at all, but someone we have known in some deep, timeless way. The heart feels at home, though the mind may struggle to make sense of it. Love that arises from destiny feels less like something we choose and more like something that chooses us. Such a force does not mean the journey will be easy. On the contrary, destiny often requires patience, resilience, and trust. There may be long waits, unexpected separations, or trials that test the strength of the bond. But these very struggles serve to reveal whether the connection is genuine. When two souls are truly aligned, no obstacle can sever what was always meant to be. The delays, the detours, and even the heartbreaks along the way all serve a deeper purpose. They shape the individuals into the kind of beings who can finally stand before each other, fully prepared for the union. Destiny is not a chain that binds unwilling hearts. It is a current that flows through willing souls. One may resist, one may wander, but eventually the pull returns, gentle yet unyielding. And when the souls are ready, the convergence feels natural, as if everything in life, both joy and suffering, was a preparation for this meeting. To be drawn together in such a way is to recognize that love is not merely an emotion that rises and falls, but a deeper alignment of being, orchestrated by something greater than our fleeting desires. When two souls are meant to be, the pull of destiny ensures that their paths will not remain separate forever. Even in silence, even in absence, the bond continues to move beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to emerge again. What seems lost is often only delayed. What feels impossible is often only hidden. The pull is steady, patient, and true, leading two lives across the landscape of existence until they arrive at one another, not as chance companions, but as inevitable halves of a greater whole. The inner mirror of love is one of the most mysterious and profound aspects of connection between two souls. When two people are meant to be, their bond goes far beyond surface attraction or temporary compatibility. What arises instead is a recognition, not of the other as entirely separate, but of the self reflected back through them. It is as if we are given a mirror in which the deepest truths of our being are revealed, sometimes in beauty, sometimes in challenge, but always with undeniable clarity. This reflection does not mean sameness. It does not imply that two souls must be identical in nature, thought, or temperament. Rather, it points to a resonance, a kind of echo within the depths of our inner world. The qualities we admire in the other, strength, compassion, courage, tenderness, often awaken because they are already seeds within ourselves, waiting to be recognized and cultivated. Likewise, the qualities that disturb us in the other can stir discomfort because they mirror aspects of our own being we have not yet accepted or integrated. In this way, true love does not merely flatter us, it challenges us, confronts us, and ultimately calls us to growth. The inner mirror is what makes the meeting of two destined souls so transformative. Where superficial love seeks only comfort and affirmation, love rooted in reflection demands honesty. When we look into the eyes of the one who is meant for us, we are not simply gazing at another person, we are encountering aspects of our own soul. This is why such connections often feel intense, even overwhelming. The beloved is not just a partner. They are a doorway to our hidden depths, a living reminder of who we are and who we might become. In this reflection, a paradox arises. On the one hand, the beloved feels utterly familiar, like home. On the other, they reveal to us dimensions we had not yet faced, stirring both wonder and discomfort. Love born of destiny is never shallow because the mirror it provides is too clear, too deep, too truthful. We cannot hide from ourselves when we stand before someone who reflects us so completely. And in this honesty, we find both the greatest challenge and the greatest gift. To accept such a mirror requires courage. It means being willing to see the shadows as well as the light, to confront the imperfections we might prefer to avoid, and to allow the relationship to shape us into greater wholeness. Yet it also means receiving the gift of being truly seen, perhaps for the first time. In this reflection, the masks we wear for the world fall away. The beloved recognizes us not for what we pretend to be, but for what we truly are. And to be loved in this recognition is to feel a kind of freedom, as though the soul itself has been acknowledged. The mirror of true love does not bind us in dependency. Instead, it liberates us into authenticity. By seeing ourselves reflected, we are encouraged to grow into the fullness of our being. The beloved does not complete us in the sense of filling what is lacking. Rather, they awaken what has been dormant. They call us to claim the pieces of ourselves we may have neglected, feared, or doubted. And in answering this call, we become more whole, more real, more alive. When two souls are meant to be, their love thrives not because they fit perfectly into each other's lives like puzzle pieces, but because they reflect back the deeper truths of existence. Each gaze, each word, each moment of presence becomes an invitation to see more clearly who we are. And in that seeing, love becomes not just a bond between two people, but a mirror through which both souls awaken to their highest potential. Transformation through union is one of the most powerful signs that two souls are truly meant to be. When love is destined, it is never a static or shallow bond. It does not leave the individuals as they were before, unchanged and unchallenged. Instead, it acts as a fire, sometimes gentle and sometimes fierce, that reshapes both souls into fuller expressions of who they were meant to become. This transformation is not about losing oneself in the other, nor is it about bending one's essence to fit another's desires. It is about awakening, about being stirred into growth that could not have happened in isolation. When two souls are aligned, their connection carries a mysterious force that catalyzes inner change. One begins to see the world through wider eyes, to question old patterns, to shed illusions that once seemed safe. The presence of the beloved becomes a mirror and a guide, not because they dictate who we should be, but because their very being calls forth the parts of us that have long been silent. Through their love, we are invited to confront the fears that kept us small, to embrace the strengths we doubted, and to live with greater authenticity. This kind of transformation often comes with discomfort. True love does not allow stagnation. It does not let us remain asleep to our potential. Instead, it gently but persistently unsettles what is false within us, pressing us toward truth. We may resist at first, clinging to old wounds, old habits, or old defenses, but the bond keeps urging us onward, reminding us that growth is not optional when two souls are destined. In the presence of such love, denial feels hollow and pretense collapses. We are compelled to change, not because we are forced, but because something within us recognizes that transformation is the natural outcome of this union. This transformation is not one-sided. Both souls participate in it. Each becomes a catalyst for the other, sparking changes that ripple across their lives. Sometimes this looks like healing from past pain, finding the courage to speak truth, or learning to trust where once there was only fear. At other times, it takes the form of new dreams, new strength, and new purpose awakened through the connection. The union becomes not only a source of love, but also a crucible in which both individuals are refined into stronger, truer versions of themselves. The beauty of such transformation is that it honors individuality even while deepening unity. True love does not erase the self, it amplifies it. The beloved does not demand that we abandon who we are, but instead, they nurture us into becoming more fully ourselves. Their love creates a safe yet challenging space in which growth is possible, where vulnerability is met with acceptance and where courage is born from being seen. In this way, the transformation is both deeply personal and profoundly shared. It is also worth noting that transformation through union is rarely sudden. It unfolds over time, through countless moments of joy, struggle, and discovery. Sometimes the changes are subtle, almost imperceptible, until one looks back and realizes how far they have come. Other times they are dramatic, shifting the very direction of a life. But whether gradual or sudden, the transformation is undeniable. Both souls emerge different from who they were before, expanded by the love that connects them. When love transforms in this way, it becomes more than romance, more than partnership. It becomes a spiritual path. It is not only about happiness, though happiness may abound. It is about becoming. And in this becoming, two souls recognize that their union was not simply for companionship, but for evolution, for the unfolding of who they were always meant to be. Trials as tests of truth are an inevitable part of love when two souls are meant to be. Destiny does not hand over perfect union without first asking both souls to prove the depth and resilience of their connection. Challenges appear not as punishments, but as opportunities, pressing the bond to reveal whether it is built on shallow ground or rooted in something eternal. In this way, trials act as a refining fire. They burn away illusions, forcing both hearts to stand bare before themselves and each other, revealing what is authentic and unbreakable. Every relationship encounters obstacles, yet for those bound by destiny, these obstacles carry a deeper purpose. Misunderstandings may arise, and separations may test patience. External circumstances may seem to conspire against the union. Distance, timing, responsibilities, or even personal fears. But rather than destroying the bond, these difficulties stretch it, teaching both souls what it means to endure. True love cannot be fragile. It must be strong enough to bend without breaking, patient enough to wait without despair, and resilient enough to survive storms without losing its flame. It is during trials that the difference between infatuation and destiny becomes clear. Infatuation falters when met with resistance, retreating into disappointment or disillusionment, but a destined love deepens in difficulty. Instead of crumbling, it adapts, learns, and strengthens. Each challenge becomes a lesson, teaching trust, humility, and perseverance. Where superficial connections may dissolve under pressure, destined souls find themselves tested into greater unity. They learn that love is not only about shared joy, but also about shared endurance. Such trials often mirror the inner struggles of each soul. One may be called to confront fear of abandonment, while the other must face resistance to vulnerability. One may need to learn patience, while the other must embrace courage. These personal battles, reflected through the union, are not obstacles meant to drive the souls apart, but bridges that, once crossed, lead to deeper intimacy. Each trial is a summons to grow, to expand beyond limitations, and to purify the love so that it rests not on fleeting emotions, but on a foundation of truth. In this light, separation itself can be one of the most profound tests. When distance enters between two souls who are meant to be, it challenges them to discover whether the bond is sustained by presence alone, or if it endures beyond space and time. Those who are destined often find that absence sharpens love rather than diminishes it. The bond continues to whisper beneath silence, reminding each heart that what is real cannot be undone by temporary distance. Reunion, when it comes, carries the sweetness of love that has been tested and proven true. Trials also reveal the strength of choice. Love may be destined, but it still requires commitment. Challenges invite each soul to decide again and again whether to remain faithful to what they know in their depths. In this choosing, love becomes not only a feeling but a conscious act, a vow renewed in the face of adversity. It is this choosing, sustained through trials, that transforms a connection into something indestructible. The purpose of trials is never to destroy, but to refine. They strip away the illusions of romance that imagine love as effortless, exposing instead the sacred truth that love is forged in fire. The more it is tested, the more it shines. And when two souls walk through trials together and still find their hearts aligned, they emerge not only stronger but more certain that what they share is true. A timeless bond beyond the ego is the essence of what it means for two souls to be truly meant for each other. When love arises from destiny, it transcends the boundaries that normally confine human relationships. It is not merely about attraction, convenience, or circumstance. Instead, it is rooted in a dimension of being that lies deeper than the shifting tides of desire, fear, or expectation. This kind of bond is not dictated by the surface of life, but by the very core of existence, where the ego loosens its grip and something eternal begins to speak. The ego seeks possession, control, and recognition. It asks, "What can this person give me? How do they fit into my story? How do they affirm my worth?" Yet the love between destined souls moves in a different rhythm. It does not cling, it does not demand constant reassurance, and it does not measure value by what is gained or lost. Instead, it flows freely, as though it belongs not to two separate individuals, but to a greater wholeness that both participate in. This is why such love often feels timeless. It carries the sense of something ancient, something remembered rather than newly discovered, as if the bond existed long before and simply resurfaced in this lifetime. When love surpasses the ego, it ceases to be fragile. Ordinary love may falter when met with disappointment, when expectations are unmet, or when personal pride feels wounded. But the timeless bond endures because it is not dependent on perfection or constant satisfaction. It is patient with flaws, forgiving of mistakes, and steady even in silence. It recognizes that the essence of the beloved is untouched by temporary shadows, and it continues to honor that essence, regardless of changing moods or circumstances. This is not blind tolerance, but a vision that sees beyond appearances into what is most real. Distance cannot sever such a bond, nor can time diminish it. Even when years pass or paths diverge, the connection lingers as a quiet flame within the heart. It does not fade with absence, it deepens. The love may rest unspoken, but it remains alive, awaiting the moment when souls align once more. Those who experience this kind of bond often describe it as unshakable, as though some invisible thread continues to link them regardless of external realities. It is a love that does not demand possession to prove its truth. It knows its reality because it simply is. This bond also liberates rather than confines. Ego-driven love often clutches tightly, fearing loss, trying to mold the other into a perfect fit. But timeless love does not chain, it allows freedom. It understands that the beloved is not an object to be owned, but a soul to be honored. Even when apart, the love does not diminish, because it is not bound to control or proximity. It is rooted in essence, and essence does not disappear with distance. Such love has the power to dissolve illusions of separation. In its presence, the boundaries between I and you soften, and what remains is the recognition of shared being. To love beyond the ego is to realize that the beloved is not outside of us, but within us, woven into the fabric of our own soul. This is why the union feels eternal, because it is not built on temporary conditions, but on the timeless truth that love is the deepest reality. When two souls are meant to be, their bond inevitably rises above the limitations of ego. It does not belong to time alone, nor is it confined by circumstance. It carries the sense of having always been and of always continuing beyond this moment, beyond this life, perhaps even beyond the boundary of what we call death. In such a bond, love is not something to be acquired or held onto. It is something to be lived, something to be remembered, and something that endures forever. When two souls are truly meant to be, nothing in existence can prevent their union. Destiny draws them together with a pull that defies chance, their love serving as a mirror that awakens forgotten depths. Through the trials they face, they are not broken, but purified, reshaped into truer versions of themselves. Their bond becomes a force of transformation, not only bringing comfort, but igniting growth, courage, and healing. And when their love rises beyond ego, it reveals a timeless connection untouched by distance, silence, or even the passage of years. Such love is not a fleeting chapter in the story of life, but the very ground upon which life itself becomes meaningful. It endures, it transforms, and it prevails, reminding us that what is destined is never lost. It only waits for the right moment to be fulfilled.